Hello everyone, I guess hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday. We are back again with another Fanatics Weekly Review where I go through the top 100 items auctioned over on their platform. As always, if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave a like. With that said, let's go ahead and swing on over there. So here we are, starting this week a little bit higher than the last few weeks at $120, a little bit more packed of a weekly, at least for soccer, of course. And we start with a 94 Merlin Paul Scholes rookie going for $117 and a PSA 5. Only pop 1 of 7, 10 higher. Surprisingly, you don't see as many of these as like the 95, 96. I say surprisingly, but at the same time, this is sort of when Merlin's kicking off in England, so you would assume that print runs sort of expand over time, and so I guess you can make sense of it. All to say, it's still surprisingly low, at least to me, for a 90s English sticker. It goes for 117 there. Next to it, we have a Mazzola Nanina from 46 that goes for 120. This isn't a rookie of his, but it's an early, fairly notable Mazzola. This in a PSA 1 goes for 120, which was, I did a little bit of comp checking before this, and it was around the same price as the last one that went. Next to it, alternatively, could get a fake rookie from 2020 Topps Lost Rookie for Cristiano Ronaldo. This sort of release has always just sat wrong with me, but at the same time, I guess I can understand it. If you want to convince yourself you have a Ronaldo rookie or just sort of a weird, unique card, maybe. But I don't know. To me, it's a print-on-demand card, and those really, for the most part, never really do a whole lot for me. Above that, we got the start of what's going to be a lot of pre-war in this auction block, a lot of vintage. Next week's going to be the vintage weekly for 180, but still a lot to be had in this go-around. So we start with 1930s Zini of Schiavio in a PSA 1 that goes for 120. Next to it, you have a Plauber of Alcantara in a PSA 2 MK. I'm not sure what the MK is on this. I didn't really look, so I'm not sure if it's, you know, a huge sort of hindrance to eye appeal. All to say, 126 for that. Fairly decent price, I would say, considering it's a 2 with an MK, which makes it almost like an authentic, really. Really nice image, though. I do like it quite a bit. Next to it, you got a Wills Needham, and this in a PSA 5 goes for 126. Looked it up because I was curious. The Wills, you can see here, does sort of sell quite a bit. But in terms of pricing, PSA 4 did 132 last year, so a PSA 5 doing 126 here seems a little light. The further we go back, I guess there was a 6 for 200, so I mean, it's not crazy. And there was a 5 in 2022 for 264, but 2022 was sort of the peak of vintage for a lot of things, especially the more common things, so that would seemingly make sense. There's going to be more Needham as we go. They're going to be later years, which will sort of illustrate to us that it's all about rarity, or at least mostly about rarity rather than earlier releases. Because back in the day, that necessarily didn't correlate. I think a lot of people now assume that rookies are sort of the rarer releases, which generally is true, but, you know, back in the day, it was a little all over the place. So you got a 79 Ancelotti here for 126 for PSA 3. Next to it, a 2005 Panini Super Barca Messi in a PSA 9 for 132. I actually kind of liked that in terms of pricing, just because there's a ton of 2010 Messi Super Barca stuff, or just Barcelona team set stuff that does about this price. And this is a second year, so, I mean, and you don't see this all that often, at least I don't. 132 doesn't seem bad to me. 1901 Ogden's here, goes for 138, I guess another sort of earlier even. 1901 goes for about the same price, pop 1 of 4, just 2 higher, which is interesting. Again, I can't offer a whole lot on early English stuff. For the most part, my understanding of pre-war is fairly niche, and I focus in certain areas, mostly because of necessity. There's just so much that I can't really do it all, so 138 on that one, don't have a whole lot to add. Bobby Charlton, Miratuta Sport here, goes for 138. I think this, I don't know if it's this set, but I think there's a set around this time that has like a Kareem in it, maybe? I think that's what it is. I don't know. I'm trying to blend basketball and soccer here, but that sounds right to me. I could be wrong. Pele Sticker Verlag from 66 goes for 138 in a PSA 5. Along with that, a 1967 Sticker Verlag of Eusebio in a PSA 8, pop 1 of 1, just 1 higher. I thought that was kind of a cool buy. I always like these, relevant, very relevant players in relevant sets. This set has a Cruyff rookie in it, and so to be able to get a Eusebio, the second highest grade in the set, and this generally grades, I mean, at like a 3 or a 4 on average, probably. Tons of 1s and 2s. I mean, an 8's really nice, so 138 on that seems pretty cool to me. Above it, George Best here from 1970 goes for 144, pop 1 of 3, 1 higher. You have a Velita back Pele for 144, along with a Puskás 62.99, a PSA 3 for 150. Above that, you have a 1961 Sanchez Garrincha and a PSA 4 for 150. That didn't strike me as all too high. There will be other Garrinchas in here that did pretty well. That one didn't quite do anything crazy. Next to it, a 53 Di Stefano that goes for 150 and a CGC 3. Along with that, a Panini Calciatore Rivera PSA 6, pop 1 of 2 for 156, 1 higher on that one. Some more pre-war here. You have a 34 Schiavio and a PSA 1 from some sort of confetti set, a caramel set of sorts. Goes for 162 there. Again, pop 1 of 1. A PSA 9 Johan Cruyff here from 1970 Polyverog. You see these a decent bit, and PSA 9 maybe a lot less, so pop 1 of 2, none higher, goes for 168. Next to it, Gunnar Gren here. This one did a pretty good price. I was just interested because you see, very few Gunnar Gren things in the auction block generally. Tinghalls is a big set for vintage, and PSA 2 blank back. Blank back isn't anything all too special. PSA 2 MK in terms of condition isn't anything all too special either. Nonetheless, this gets an all-time high price, which is pretty impressive. The other sales to go were an SGC 1.5 for 150, an SGC 1.5 for 120, and then a Raw for 122. I'm always a little curious if this is the same as the other. It sort of has a splotch in the same spot, so I'd be I guess leaning towards yes, that's probably gotten graded and then sold about a year later. So it sold for 40 more bucks after grading and fees and all that. You probably got out what you put into it, so it is what it is. Still an all-time high sale though. Beyond that, 64 Sikker Garrincha, pretty nice looking Sikker, if I am being honest. That's a nice looking Garrincha. PSA 8, obviously super high grade on that. It goes for 174. Along with it, you have the Charlton from the same set that I was talking about, the Eusebio earlier. This goes for 180 and a PSA 8, pop 1 of 1.9 higher. PSA 8, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi goes for 180. Again, we saw 10 of this do like 5K resale. It was a ridiculous number. It was a super high number. PSA 8's at about 200. So if you wanted a cheap way into that, there you go. You got a 39 release here. This looks like an F1 driver. I don't know a whole lot about like Italy pre-war. I guess this is about the time the war's going on, but yeah, that doesn't seem to fit. 51 Kubala. This is labeled as a rookie, and I think it is. He kind of has a lot of stuff in the early 50s that, at least to me, sort of throws me off a little bit. But this one is fairly notable. Also oversized. The back looks like a pretty good back, to be honest. And in terms of a one decent eye appeal, I will say. So maybe that helped the pricing here. Ultimately, didn't look it up, but I do think that's a pretty decent price because we've seen these before, and they never do like crazy numbers. This one I thought was pretty good. Alcantara here, this is sort of a playing card style of release, or at least the backs are. You got this going on here, and all the other players have the same thing. Then you got players on the front or the back or whatever. I don't know if this is the draw or not whenever this is going on. It says 1920s. I don't know why Fanatics is so, stern on labeling them as 1920 rather than putting an S on the end and labeling it as it should be, but they do that nonetheless. I feel like that probably throws people off and maybe makes them think they are rookies. Most of the time, these, at least to me, there's a few different years, or there's many different years throughout the 20s, so it's really hard to pin down. And so ultimately, I just look at these and I think like mid-20s, sometimes. So I don't think it's rookie material. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm out of the loop. Spain is just so hard to pin down in general, and it doesn't help when these auction houses won't label things properly. PSA, of course, also doesn't even have a year on it. So, you really have to do some digging. All to say 186 is pretty strong on that. I know a 2.5 isn't like super easy, but you can find a 1 or 2 of this fairly easy of like, Zamora or Cimetière for, 30, 40 bucks over on Toto. So 186 there feels pretty strong. 1902, Geo Smith. This says rookie again, not a rookie. PSA 4 goes for 142 from the Will set that we saw earlier that sells fairly often, at least compared to early English stuff. Next to it, you have a John Charles sport photo here from 1954. I did take a look at this just because I was interested, and PSA 7 sells here for 192. Definitely good premium over the 5s and 6s we've seen lately, and the last 7 ever to sell was back in 2022 for 276. So it's down from 222 or 220 or 276 in 2022. Sorry, lots of twos. But being down $70 when vintage sort of went through a booming day back then and has now fallen a little bit. I think that's still a pretty fair price. It's a pop 1 of 1, so you'd assume that that's the same exact one from before. Next to it, a 62 John Charles PSA 7 goes for $192. As you can see here, kind of an interesting thing going on here with a sticker from 8 years later. Now it is early Panini Calciatore PSA 7, really nice looking, so I get it. There was tons of John Charles stuff in this auction, so I don't know if someone's getting rid of a collection there or what that was about, but nonetheless, a 34 Vecchi Schiavio PSA 2 for $198. Next to it, another John Charles here, 61. I probably should be a lot more familiar, but I think 61's the first Panini Calciatore set. No matter the case, PSA Pop 1 of 1 and a PSA 7 goes for $198. I did look at this Cavani, PSA 5 from 2006. A Pop 1 of 2, 4 higher, and a PSA 5 goes for a pretty decent number. This goes for $198. Last sales for PSA 3 were $33, a 6 for $94, and a 6 for $92. I would assume that 6 got reran. Nonetheless, looks like a really nice price there, double the last PSA 6 sale, so pretty interesting there. Row above it, we have a Bane Shield here from 1902. This is a Rover Shield in PSA 3 that goes for $200. Don't see a whole lot of these shields in this auction, so I can't speak too much on where that stands. Next to it, an Arthur Smith Cadles from 1904 and a 2.5 grade goes for $210. Pop 1 of 1, 5 higher. Along with a Munich at Night. Bukayo Saka goes for $210 and a CGC 10. I'd be just about as poor in terms of a quiz on early English pre-World War I, and Bukayo Saka or anyone from 2020 and beyond, their case hits. I'm totally in the dark. So forgive me. I will keep scrolling. PSA 8 2004 Cristiano Ronaldo, Paxião, Portugal. This goes for $210, which doesn't strike me as a crazy number. Only 21 watchers on that one. That, to me, seems like a decent entry price, at least compared to what I've seen in the past on 9s and especially 10s. 10s are really hard because these are off center, so they're like crazy numbers. But, I mean, even compared to 9, that doesn't seem bad. Silver Messi, 216 for 2022 Prism Silver, along with the final one on page 1 here, which is a 1966 Tempo Campeonato Pele in a PSA 4 that says promo on it. Haven't seen these a whole lot in the auction. Pop 1 of 1, 5 higher. It's a hand cut in the back. Doesn't look great to me, so I don't know where that's getting cut from. But ultimately, it doesn't look like it's meant to be in this format. But nonetheless, if it gets graded, thrown in a slab, the people will flock. And that takes us to the top 50 for this week. So we start with a Zara Tingles from 1950. This goes for $288 in a PSA 3. In terms of pricing, another all-time high sale here for Tingles, but when you account for the grade, there was a 1.5 that sold for $250. So this is an all-time high, but I mean at the same time, you look at these raw sales over on eBay. I mean 120, 78, 14. Now this 14 one's pretty janky, so take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean ultimately seems like kind of a low sale compared to this, but if you compare it to the other raws, it seems moderately fair. My understanding is that Spain's one of the lesser, not the hardest, but a harder team to attain in these sets than like a Brazil or a Sweden. So, take that for what it's worth. Very notable player, Pop 1 of 1, none higher. I don't know if PSA's great on distinguishing the backs. It seems like it. They have blank back here. But I'm unsure on how well they distinguish between all the other various backs on the Ting Halls. So take the Pop 1 of 1 with a grain of salt, but a 3 is pretty good for Ting Halls in general. 34 Balia Miazza PSA 3 for $300. We have a Color Blast Erling Haaland PSA 9 for $312, which doesn't strike me again as crazy considering at least I feel like I've seen tons of other probably lesser players in that same ballpark for pricing. I did lose this one. I didn't go anywhere near this price, but it was lingering at like $70 going into extra time on the auction, so I was like, why not? 2015 Futera Angel Di Maria auto out of 35. My understanding was this was his earliest on-card auto. I'm not a huge Futera guy, but earliest on-card auto out of 35. The same exact copy sold in 2022 for like $120, $130. So I was fairly willing to go back to that price, if not a smidge higher. But ultimately, clearly, 2 other people were willing to go a good bit higher, and they sure did. $324 on that one was a pretty good sale. Next to it, Lamine Yamal Green Topps Crystal Premium for $324 and a BGS 9.5, along with a Marcelo Garrincha PSA 4, Pop 1 of 1, none higher. Pretty nice looking Garrincha, I'm not going to lie. That's a very nice one to the eye. Back is looking clean, and price is looking pretty well, or pretty decent as well. Not going to have anything to comp, so I didn't really look that up. But there are definitely some Garrinchas within here that have done really, really well. This Marcus Stella Pele, now this is a PSA 7, and this is a PSA 4. My understanding is people don't believe this is actually Pele. I mean, if you look at it, it doesn't look great. But at the same time, I have no way to prove it. I don't have anything to say. But in terms of the pricing, comparing this one to this one, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself to some degree in terms of what the people are thinking. A PSA 4, pop 1 of 1. Now, granted, it's yellow border, and I have never seen a yellow border, so I don't know much in that regard in terms of how rare that is. So that might be definitely adding to it as well. But to see a PSA 7 Pele, no matter border, whatever, go for basically the same price is just kind of jarring. Above it, a 97 Futera Manchester United Redemption Panel David Beckham. I didn't see this on the first go-around through. This is definitely weird. And again, I'm not going to have a whole lot to add here. I'm not really sure what's going on. Looks like you got 2 David Beckham autos and no George Best autos. I would have to imagine those are IP autos, but yeah, I mean, it says PSA DNA cert, so I'm imagining that's the case. Definitely interesting nonetheless, and this goes for $336, pop 1 of 1, so the unique piece going there. Next to it, Lamine Yamal. You could get some David Beckham autos or Lamine Yamal, why not? IP auto here goes for $372. We got a few more in this row, $396, $396, $396. So again, if you want Lamine Yamal autos, I think they're going to be out there for a while, but you got some there for $400. Above it, a Merlin Heritage Blue Club Competitions that goes out of 25 and a PSA 9 for $432. This does have the rookie card logo on it, which, an out of 25 rookie card seems pretty low, but obviously at the same time, it's Merlin. It looks like an insert, and so I can understand how it flies under the radar to most people. This one certainly didn't. This is a PSA 7 96 Panini Australis Europus, and this Russian edition goes for $468. I looked it up, and I closed it. Oh, no, I didn't. There it is. It's just out of order. Or is it? Where's this Neymar? Did we never see the Neymar? Huh. Maybe I just scrolled by it. I don't know. There was a Neymar. Anyways, this Neymar sold last night for $276, which was a good bit higher than the sales we've seen recently. If you look here, I guess, PSA 5 did $328, but the low at one point was $162 for a couple sales last year. So that's almost double the low sale, especially when you consider PSA 5, SGC 5, and a little multiple there. This Russian edition goes for $468. As you can see, the non-Russian edition, $28, $37, $62. So a huge premium for the Russian edition. Last one sold 2 years ago for $324. This one goes even higher at nearly $500. So quite a premium there from Russian to non-Russian. Next to it, you got a Cope Bros and Co. noted footballers, Ernest Needham here. As you can see, again, a pretty much later edition. And this is PSA Authentic, and it does multiples of the ones we were seeing earlier. So there you go. Yeah, I guess the back looks pretty rough, but it's an Authentic. Not colored in, or at least so it would seem. So that's at least something. I know these early English things have a problem with that. Back in the day, people just wanted to make it look nicer, presumably. Above it, an 1897 Ogden's Guinea Gold of Ernest Needham. PSA 1.5 goes for $516. Pop 1 of 1, just 3 higher. Not something you see all too often, at least in my head. I didn't have a whole lot cataloged pre-1900. Again, I'm not deep into the weeds on this stuff. I'm sure if you are, you knew all about this, but at least to me, this isn't a release style that I've had much experience with in these auction blocks, especially. But that goes for $516. Definitely earlier, seemingly still pretty rare, but there are 3 higher, so it's at least somewhat attainable. This Garincha Imperia Calcio from 63 goes for $516, which was a really strong price. I was eyeing this for a little bit, and as a Garincha guy, I was thinking about it. I just closed the comp, but you'll have to trust me here. The last PSA 5 went for like $260, so this is almost up double from that pricing. So pretty good sale there for sure. Next to it, you got the 2023 Lamine Yamal number 423 PSA 10. This isn't the mega cracks that everyone's going crazy for. This is a good bit more plentiful, at least so it would seem by the pop reports. This has 1,300 pop, while his other one, if it's not coming down here, is it? Maybe it is. Yeah, this one's pop 198. Now, is some of that just less time to be submitted? I don't know. But ultimately, this one, you can kind of see the start of maybe what's going to happen with Lamine cards in general. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. We'll find out, but not a promising graph, at least in terms of sort of the turn here. Seemingly peaked around June 7th to June 14th, and now we're, down, nearly like 30-40% from the all-time high on this card in particular. Still great growth overall, but ultimately, those peaks are hard to sustain, especially for a player that doesn't really have much going on the next few months and is going to have to do a lot next year to maintain that relevancy in the card community. Beyond that, another one here, 528. You have a Ronaldinho PSA 3 for 540, which for an entry Ronaldinho, that doesn't seem terrible, at least to me. I know these are fairly difficult, and obviously Ronaldinho is a cult figure. Next to it, a Messi IP Auto, 552 on a Donruss there. Well, an optic, but, from the Donruss site, you get it. 2023 out of 10. This Merlin Heritage goes for 576. We saw the blue earlier. This is the out of 10. I would assume red, but it kind of looks pink. Beyond that, PSA 4 Garrincha. This one did a crazy price, at least in my eyes. Again, as a Garrincha guy, I was moderately eyeing this. It is a pop of 1 of 4, just one higher. These are not easy to grade at all. It also looks really well-centered, which these never are. It has Didi, it has Garrincha, it has that 58 World Cup win, so I think it's just a great card. But, yeah, $600. I think the last one, again, was like $250, $300, something like that. Now, granted, this was like a $200 card pre-boom. So, for it to had still been only at $250 or $300 was probably not fair, really. But $600, definitely more fair, and pretty good price there. Another Messi Auto here for $600 as well. Above it, you have an On the Rise or On the Horizon of Cristiano Ronaldo going for $600 there in a 9.5 grade. This Beckham and Zlatan and Cristiano Ronaldo goes for $660. I did look that one up as well, and the last comp was like $180 on an eBay auction in December of last year. Before that, the comps were mostly around $600, $700. I don't know if that person, I didn't fully check it, so maybe if you care enough, you could. That PSA 10, now that I think about it, might have been mislabeled. Maybe it's an eBay auction that was a PSA 9 and just had a 10 in the title. I don't know, but it sold for $200. I'm going to assume it was legitimate, but given how high this sale was, it was just kind of surprising to see that big of a jump back. So unsure why that is, but $660 here, seemingly a decent price. Those at one point in time were like $10K back during the boom, so they've definitely fallen off, and probably, rightfully so. It is sort of a Manchester United sticker if you want to look at it that way, but at the same time, it's a World Cup release. It's a candy sticker. It's got to have been, their international kit. So, it's definitely a reach. People were really looking at that as, the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type of card for soccer, and it's far from that. But it's still, a nichely cool sticker, I think. Next to it, a 2017 variation, Cristiano Ronaldo. This goes for $690. We'll have a Messi here in a second. Above it, an out of 75 blue Lamine Yamal Euro, PSA 10 for $750. Along with that, a Arna in 1998 PSA 10 for $810, pop 1 of 6. I really like that. Just personally, I love the Panini stickers, and especially if you're getting PSA 10, seemingly not going to be easy. There are boxes floating around, but at the same time, you got to open the box, which is already pretty pricey, and then you got to hit a 10, so it's not going to be easy. But that's a pretty cool one at $810. Ernst Needham here, a Cadles from 1904 for $900. Probably after this auction block, I'm just going to go through and look at all these Needhams and sort of align them in my head and try to get an idea where these things rank. But pop 1 of 1, just one higher, goes for $900. And, all these sets nichely, I can remember the names, but they just mean nothing almost in my head. Again, just a rabbit hole I haven't gone down, but more power to you if you have. $900 on that one seems like a decent price, I guess, compared to what we've seen so far. Baggio BGS9 Calciatore, this goes for $1,100. This has only sold once before in a BGS9, and it was $1,200 back during 2022. So to me, that's a pretty good price to get back to 2022 pricing on a Baggio, especially a more common rookie for Baggio. Along with that, a variation Messi here for nearly $1,100, a good premium over the nearly $700 we saw in the Ronaldo. Pretty decent number there. Along with that, Lionel Messi Color Blast for $1,100. Take your pick. What would you rather have, Color Blast or Variation Refractor? I do find that interesting because everyone loves the 2017 variations, but I don't see many people talk about 2018 variations, and Color Blasts are seemingly liked no matter what year it is almost. So, from some regard, I could almost see taking the Color Blast, and personally, I might even do that, but we'll keep it moving. Or, I guess above you have a Landmarks Messi as well from Copa America, if you want that. That goes for $1,170. Again, I'd still probably take the Color Blast World Cup winning year. I like the Color Blast design. Looks decent, and the Obsidian Black out sort of card looks nice. Along with that, we have another Argentina card here. It's missing a Messi for sure. It's got Maradona, Kempes, Batistuta, and then Dybala. So Dybala is probably the odd one out there. But pop 1 of 3 in a PSA 10 grade goes for $1,300. Lamine Yamal Pink Shimmer out of $250 goes for $1,350. Interesting just to see. Well, I guess that has an auto. Okay, I was looking at that compared to the Euro, which the Euro went a lot lower, and that's out of 75, but this has an auto, so take it for what it is. Topping the Needhams, at least so I think. I don't believe there's another one. We have a 1905 Singleton and Cole. Pop 1 of 1, just one higher. PSA 1 goes for $13.80. Pretty impressive stuff there. I mean, my word, those corners are gone, man. Oh my gosh. Back looks nice though. Yeah, you got a nice back. The corners are a little rough. I don't think you can really color that out of there. I'm surprised this isn't authentic. I mean, I guess I don't have a ton of experience in trying to see if this colored in. Does this not look colored in? I mean, maybe I'm not the guy to talk about this. And if you were coloring in parts of it, why wouldn't you just color in the whole thing? But like that right there, what's that? Nonetheless, I mean, it seems like this is a card people are paying for, no matter if it's colored in, cut corners, or whatever. 1,400 on that's pretty cool to see. And again, don't have a whole lot to add. Just happy to see this stuff and sort of make mental notes of it. This Maradona Gold 2018 Donruss, the beautiful game. Pretty cool card to me. I always thought this kind of looks weird. I wish they would have just made the top border have a gold border on the top, because it looks like all of them are miscut when that's just how they're made. Nonetheless, 1,600 on that for PSA 9. Maradona, at least for me, is one of the people I can sort of, I could excuse a sticker auto in my collection just because of the, untimely nature of his death and not having tons of autos. I could see wanting a sticker, especially like a nice looking card. I mean, you got the Napoli kit, you got a nice blue background, gold border. It looks nice. So 1,600 there seems like a fun ad. I definitely take it over 2023 finest Lamine Yamal. Again, I know he's got all the promise in the world. Everyone's excited, but give me the Maradona every day of the week. Also, a lot more watches on this one, nearly 20 more. Then we break into the top 9 with a PSA 10 Kylian Mbappe for $2,000 nearly, which is about where those have been for a little bit now. You have a 95-96 R9 PSA 10 pop 1 of 2. This is a second year foil R9. This goes for a good number. Didn't look up comps because I assume there aren't any. I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to assume it did pretty good because that doesn't strike me as a shockingly low number. Beyond that, this one did really well. This is a 2008 Mega Cracks 384 Messi PSA 10. People love the sort of acetate card that this is. The orange on orange color match looks really nice. In terms of pricing, I did look it up, and this one is an all-time high. A good bit higher than anyone we've seen before. 2,200, 1,400, 1,600, 1,300. And the last two were best offers before this. So typically best offers go high or at least strong. And this one on auction does even higher. So that seems like a pretty good sale to me. Beyond that, top 6, we got 2 Messi Kabooms here, 2022 and 2023. Take your pick. Knowing basically nothing about the Kaboom print runs year to year, I would take the 2022. That's just me personally. Again, you do you, but why not? $100 more bucks, you get the World Cup winning year, presumably lesser print run. I think 2023 is when they started doing the gold background Kabooms as well, so I don't think this one has that same competition. Again, if you know more, correct me in the comments and teach us all a lesson or two, but yeah, I mean, to me, I think the 2022 is a better deal between the two. Next to it, you have the Maradona PSA 879 Calciatori. It says rookie again. It's rookie material, I guess. It's early, but 77 is his true rookie year. Nonetheless, this is a very notable sticker. You probably know it if you've been around. It has the eye appeal sticker, which the centering looks really good. Color looks good. I can't see a whole lot wrong with it, so generally I tend to agree. If we go and look at comps, which, never tells the full story, but gives us an idea. As you can see here, price is nearly at an all-time high. I guess 4,200. Well, I say all-time high if we want to go, if we want to get depressed and look at what some poor people paid in the past. I mean, not poor in the sense of monetarily. Obviously, they were doing well off, but at times it's been anywhere from 8 to 10K. Pre-boom, it was $200. So, I think 4K is a nice midpoint to reach there. Ultimately, pretty good sale when you compare it to like an all-time low or a relative recent low. It was anywhere from like 2,500, 3,000, so it's up a good bit. Just for confirmation there, yeah, 2,700 was actually 2,580 was the lowest sale I can find. So compared to the relative recent low, it's almost up double. Granted, eye appeal sticker top 15%, so that weighs a little in, but nonetheless. And then the top 3 for this week. So we start with this MLS Gold Foil Messi PSA 10. This goes for $3,900, which we saw one of these run recently. I always get a little hesitant when I saw a very similar card sell recently. I want to say the recent card was a 9, though, because it went a good bit cheaper, I thought. Nonetheless, this goes for $3,900 for what is, a Topps paper auto. I think that's a pretty good number. Everyone's excited about the Messi Inter Miami kit stuff nowadays, but to me, I don't think it means a whole lot. Personally, I'd almost rather have him in a PSG kit, which I know that's probably a hot take, but at least PSG has some sort of like worldwide relevancy in my head. Inter Miami doesn't have a whole lot. Granted, they're winning games at the Club World Cup, so, make of that what you will. But as an American that's still trying to grasp the Club World Cup, I don't even know why they're there. So, it is what it is. Next to it, Kylian Mbappe Blue 2017 Chrome PSA 10. This sold for $4,200. It's been as low as like $3,500 recently, something like that. It's up a little bit from the relative lows, but over the last few years, it's definitely been dropping pretty consistently. And again, sort of makes sense. Like, granted, it's a rookie. I get that. There's a lot of hype on 2017 Chrome. I say hype. There's a lot of love for it. Let's replace the word hype with love. And I just wonder, because you look at like a 2019 blue or a 2020 blue Chrome Kylian Mbappe, and they probably go for almost nothing. Like, I see really rare cards from those Chrome sets doing not great numbers. So I'm assuming the blues are almost irrelevant. So if the blues are almost irrelevant in his third, fourth year, a rookie year at 4,200 feels still pretty strong, I would say. So, it's interesting to see where this will play out. Ultimately, I think it's definitely going to depend on how Mbappe, his career sort of continues on with Real Madrid. Obviously, that's going to play, all the factors in terms of what this card does. 4,200 is, relative to recent numbers, decent, but compared to the last few years, still a poor number. And then finally, a 2021 1-of-1 Topps Museum Messi patch auto. You got the, I was talking about PSG cards. There you go. You got a PSG patch. And definitely an auto. A Messi auto, I'm not sure, but an auto nonetheless. You got the sort of coat hanger L there, which is always sort of a giveaway. Even this, like the part next to the L, doesn't even look great compared to what he does usually. And I don't know. You usually get these sorts of like, you can see where he's pressing down at. And I guess I haven't done enough research in this regard, but this almost feels wrong in terms of where he's pressing down. I always thought he came from the top here and came down. This, based off where he's pressing, he came here and went up, which just feels weird. He's doing the whole E like backwards almost, and he's doing it in like, he pressed down here, did this, pressed down here, did that, pressed down here, like and then he pressed down here and went opposite. Like, okay, I don't care enough to go look now, but I would bet almost that that's not present in other Messi stuff. Based on how he's doing all of his other autos, I feel like he comes this way, he comes down. Sometimes he doesn't even do like two lines here. He's doing like one half circle, and this is two lines that connect, and it looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. Nonetheless, look at that. Nice little 10 for the auto. Love to see it. Is it a game-used patch? Not from anything. So the patch isn't from anything. The auto might not even be of Messi, but there's his picture. He's smiling. He's happy about it. He likes a card. Nonetheless, 7,200. I guess for a Messi 1-of-1 isn't crazy, but for that type of a card, seems a little crazy, at least to me. And that takes to auction 180, and Fanatics on 170, now on 180, and presumably on every 10 from here on going out. They're doing like a vintage 2002 and prior special. You can see it over here on the side. There's actually even like a search feature for it. But they're doing something where basically you get 110% of the final price for anything that sells that's from 2002 and prior, and it's over $200. So this gets a lot of big cards in here. It's sort of like a spectacle for the soccer community, and my word, is it living up to it? So there's some big cards here. The Laez, Jose Manuel Moreno, a huge card there, PSA 5, going for $8,500 at the moment, with BP already over $10K. You got an Americana Pele, barely ever see those. That's already near $10K. You got an Orsi here from Plus Ultra that's at $7,500 as well. And there's just bangers absolutely scattered throughout. I mean, PSA 6 Titulares is super high grade. Pop 104 just one higher. You got a Messi 71 Bis, which, we get those in probably every other auction, so that's not crazy, but still worth noting. PSA 6 Crack Maradona, PSA 1 Pele. You have a Pele Team, PSA 8 Alifa, Pele Auto Aquarella, Pele PSA 4 Aquarella, and Alifa Altered. which I guess that isn't probably as good, but you got a Puskás, Nanina, tons of fun stuff. I mean, just scattered throughout another Plus Ultra here, 1.5 Maradona rookie, a PSA 4 of the Vav Pele. This Copa's rerunning, which is kind of crazy because it had sold for just a wild number last time. It went from like a $1,000 to $2,000 card to a $10,000 sticker. It got paid and now is rerunning, so we'll see where that goes. Crack Pele, you got a Revancha, Di Stefano. And yeah, I mean, worth looking through, especially if you're a pre-modern / vintage guy, and I'll certainly do the same as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this auction block. This is where we're going to end it. As always, if you did enjoy, do make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. Anything you thought sold high, low, maybe something you snagged, would love to hear about it, and comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.